As I fired the bullet into the target's temple, I received a text message from my husband, Elias. I swiftly dragged the body to the side, grabbed the rope already secured to the window frame, and jumped down. A black Aston Martin had been waiting downstairs for some time. I took the damp cloth Lilith handed me from the driver's seat and wiped my hands. I opened my phone and saw the photo Elias had sent me. The happiness I felt was as big as his pecs. I softened my voice. Honey, wait for me. I'll be home soon. I had to work overtime today. Lilith made an exaggerated gagging sound. Ivy, you're so gross. Didn't you say Americans are all so reserved? I smiled. If you had such a kind husband who stays home every day to cook and clean for you, you'd be the same. Lilith flipped me off from the front seat. That's because he thinks you're a hard-working engineer. I shrugged, unfazed. Lilith was definitely jealous of my house husband. My name is Evelyn, codename Ivy, and I'm a member of the International Operative Organization X. I got married a year ago to my arranged marriage partner, Elias, and we fell in love at first sight. In M country, finding the right person isn't easy. But Elias fulfilled all my fantasies about a lover. He's a mix of Amiria and M country, tall and handsome, with a gentle personality. He has soft black hair, a gentle personality, and soft pectoral muscles. Perhaps many people can't accept their partner being a house husband, but for me, it's perfect. Ah, what could be happier than coming home after a day of fighting and seeing your husband's delicious meal, then burying your face in his chest. Just like now. Elias saw me open the door and naturally helped me take off my coat before wrapping his arms around me. Honey, you're finally home. The light in the living room is broken, and I was scared, but I don't know how to fix it. I snuggled into his embrace before climbing onto a chair and replacing the light bulb. For someone who can assemble a Desert Eagle in just 22 seconds, this was a piece of cake. But my delicate husband looked at me with admiration. Honey, you're so amazing. I kissed Elias. In my heart, I think Elias is just as amazing for cooking such a delicious meal. I sat beside him eating and casually asked, Honey, what did you do today? Elias paused for a moment before smiling and answering me. I watered the plants, cleaned the house, and prepared dinner for you. See, that's my perfect little house husband. I couldn't help but lean closer to Elias, wrap my arms around his waist, and whisper in his ear. Honey, dinner's done. Want something else? Elias obediently picked me up and carried me to the bed. But just as he started unbuttoning my shirt, he suddenly froze. You said you were working overtime at the office? Working overtime until someone stuffed a men's tie in your pocket? I watched in disbelief as Elias pulled out a wrinkled tie from my pocket. The very weapon I had used 2 hours earlier to suffocate my target. Elias held me tightly, tears streaming down his face. What did I do wrong to make you want to seek comfort elsewhere? Was his cooking better than mine? Was he better in bed than me? Is it because you think I'm always at home and don't work? I have a lot of savings, I'll give it all to you. Wife, you can't leave me. Elias sobbed uncontrollably, and my denials turned into broken gasps. I could only hold him tighter in desperation. The next morning, I repeatedly assured Elias that I truly loved him and had never cheated on him. But I couldn't explain to him where the tie had come from. I couldn't tell Elias that his hard-working engineer wife was actually an operative with blood on her hands. Elias, being so delicate, would never accept that. He'd be terrified and want to divorce me. To prove my loyalty to my husband, I didn't take any assignments for a week and stayed home with Elias every day. I bought Elias many bouquets of flowers and all kinds of luxury items, and even indulged him in bed. But Elias was still depressed. Because he asked me for that tie, but I burned it directly. Eli, that was a weapon. I've been walking on the edge of danger for years, but I can't accept my weak husband being exposed to any risk. Elias was even more heartbroken. But while he prepared a lavish meal for me, he firmly told me, It's not your fault. Wife, I believe you didn't cheat on me. It's those people outside who are so evil. Someone must have tried to seduce you, so they did something despicable like putting the tie in your pocket. I had no choice but to accept the explanation that someone wanted to seduce me to account for the tie. Yes, husband, it must be my damn engineer colleague. But I would never let him seduce me. I hate those cold, mechanical people. I only like gentle people like you, who make me want to protect you. Elias's hand, which had been opening a can, suddenly stopped. Eli, he handed me the knife and can. I can't open it. Help me, please. I easily opened the can. Elias looked at me with adoring and loving eyes, his eyelashes soft and smooth like little fans. I hugged him from behind. Although my head only reached his shoulders, I could feel his dependence on me. I tenderly comforted my handsome husband. If I ever cheat on you, you can beat me up and then divorce me. I heard the person in front of me say in his usual gentle tone. No, I'd kill him. We're not getting divorced. Such a childish joke. But Elias was too scared to even kill a chicken at home. I couldn't help but feel even softer toward him, yet also guilty for hiding my operative identity from him. My weak and helpless husband probably never dreamed that his wife had actually killed so many people. When Lilith finally couldn't hold back and berated me over the organization's communication device, I told Elias I had to end my vacation and return to work. We're already short-handed, and you dare to skip a week of assignments? Can't you stop hovering over your house husband all the time? I always thought you'd marry someone from the organization, but you ended up getting swept off your feet by a house husband. I couldn't be bothered to respond to Lilith. She simply didn't understand my happiness. Any big projects coming up? I couldn't help but smile. Next month is our first wedding anniversary. I want to buy him an extremely expensive gift. Lilith cursed me, calling me a bitch. She laughed mockingly. There is one, but it's already been claimed. The bounty is $1 million. I shrugged. I rarely lose out to others. Don't you trust me? But what Lilith said next truly shocked me. Lilith, but the one offering the bounty is Orbit. Orbit, a name known to every operative, an unparalleled existence. He doesn't swear allegiance to any operative organization, his sole goal is to execute missions perfectly. No matter who the target is or where they are, Orbit will complete the mission within the designated time. Even if it's the president, a warlord, or another top-tier operative. His name has been listed with the highest bounty on the dark web for years, yet no one dares to take it on. Orbit means orbit, and among operatives, there's a saying that's been passed down. The world operates on Orbit's orbit. When I was young, I didn't believe in such things and took on a mission that Orbit had already accepted. In the end, I watched the target get shot in the head from 600 meters away, while I didn't even catch a glimpse of Orbit. But times have changed. I'm a married woman now. I have a weak husband to take care of. I've decided to give it another try. Competing with Orbit, an operative of his caliber, is enough to send my adrenaline racing. Plus, for some reason, Orbit has taken on very few missions in the past year, so any mission he takes on must be interesting. It's said that when Orbit refused a $5 million offer from a mercenary leader, he said he wanted to prioritize his family and avoid more violence. But no one believes him. Everyone speculates that Orbit has made too much money and wants to retire gradually. Lilith starts gossiping again. Rumor has it that Orbit has a Miria blood. Are all Americans like that? I quickly shut off the communicator. Someone seems to be following me. I adjust my destination discreetly and walk slowly toward Elwood Avenue. Today's target was Grant, a gallery curator. He had orchestrated multiple art fund projects and used various salons and exhibitions to smuggle artifacts and launder money. My employer was an Indian American collector. A collection of medieval oil paintings he had acquired was exhibited under Grant's promotion, but when the paintings were returned, nearly 30% had been replaced with forgeries. So my employer paid me $100,000 to handle this. The task wasn't complicated. I had planned to end Grant's life this morning at his villa. But I didn't expect someone to be tailing me. The person following me is skilled and strange. I exposed a weakness, intending to take him out when he made his move, but he showed no intention of attacking. Is the target not me? Is it the organization? Or is this just an intelligence operative gathering information? With the gallery opening approaching, I decided not to waste any more time. If necessary, I would kill Grant first and deal with the hidden stalker later. At exactly 11 a.m., all surveillance cameras at Sanctum Gallery were taken over. I shook off the stalker and changed out of the plaid shirt I had worn earlier into a proper evening gown. Grant appeared at the gallery, and I greeted him politely like the other guests. All right, Ivy. The keyboard will create a brief distraction. Find the right moment to sneak into Grant's private room. Lilith's voice was clear through the hidden earpiece. Everything was ready. I quietly lurked in Grant's private room, waiting to deliver the fatal blow. But instead of Grant, I heard Lilith's panicked voice. Let's go, Ivy. It's not necessary. Grant is already dead. It was Orbit who did it. I cleaned up the scene, listened to Lilith explain the situation, and calmly returned to the gallery hall. The surveillance feed controlled by the keyboard suddenly cut out for a minute. When it came back on, Grant was already dead in the special exhibition hall. A hall set to open in 2 hours. Grant's body was kneeling before the oil painting titled The Betrayed Saint. The bullet had pierced Grant's forehead and struck the saint's heart in the painting. A gold-embossed black card was stuck beside the painting, bearing a single word. Orbit. Lilith was extremely agitated. I could hear her biting her nails. Only $10,000. Orbit would never take such a job, let alone leave his name. Did someone in our organization off him? Is he threatening the organization? Or is there something wrong with this gallery? I didn't want to speak, my mind consumed by the lost $100,000. I couldn't help but send Elias a text. Husband, work is so tiring. I miss you so much. Elias always replied instantly to my messages, but this time he took a moment before responding. I miss you too. I want to see you right now. My heart ached, and I wanted to rush home and hug him. Before Grant's body was discovered, I quickly bought an oil painting of flowers and plants at the gallery. To be honest, I knew nothing about art. But my gentle husband would definitely love it. Elias was indeed surprised. He was wearing his pajamas and hugged me tightly. So you went out to buy me a gift today. You're so kind, my wife. I stroked his hair, and all the frustration Orbit had caused me today vanished completely. What did you do today? Did you miss me? Elias smiled. I wanted to try painting today, but I realized I have no talent for it. I remembered there were no oil paints at home and was about to ask, but Elias pulled out a. He opened the box, revealing a stunningly beautiful evening gown. The backless red gown was adorned with golden gems, clearly a piece of great value. Honey, do you like this dress? Elias bit my ear. I don't think I've ever seen you dressed like this before. An engineer certainly wouldn't have such an outfit. I only ever wore dresses when I needed to disguise myself for a mission, and I'd borrow them from Lilith. But by evening, the beautiful red dress was already wrinkled and crumpled. Elias seemed unusually eager tonight, and his kisses left me breathless. But I still indulged my weak-willed husband. However, as my legs grew weak, I gently told Elias. Husband, please don't spend so much money next time. I rarely wear dresses, this is too expensive. My voice was quickly drowned out by Elias's soft kisses. Perhaps it was the pride of a house husband? My weak and helpless husband was so adorable that I resolved to work even harder for our life. However, I never imagined that my next opportunity to wear a dress would come so soon. In Styx Lounge, the largest underground casino in El City, I was dressed in a black tight-fitting dress, skillfully dealing cards to the customers in front of me. Everyone in the casino, including me, was wearing a pure white mask. Lilith had assigned me a big job worth $1 million, and the legendary operative, Orbit, who everyone feared, was also in this luxurious casino. Looking at the decadent scene before me, I couldn't help but think of Elias, who was waiting patiently at home. I told him I was on a business trip to the East Coast, but in reality, I recalled Elias's gentle smile, his relaxed muscles, and the sweater still warm from his body. The expression behind my mask softened involuntarily. I exhaled deeply, thinking about how I could throw myself into my husband's arms once the mission was over. An endless surge of motivation filled my heart. Even if it's Orbit, I have to meet him. The target this time is Kaveh, a 38-year-old Persian English man. He appears polite and refined, but he is a terrifying monster. Kaveh invests in medical projects in multiple countries under the guise of charity, but secretly provides funding and resources for illegal human experiments. My employer is a mother who lost her daughter. Her child was rescued from Kaveh's experimental facility by my colleagues, but had already lost both eyes and both legs. 3 days after being saved, the 17-year-old girl took her own life with a fruit knife. The previous incident had made Kaveh more cautious. He now always had a team of bodyguards with him wherever he went. However, at Styx Lounge, no one without an invitation was allowed inside. This was a golden opportunity for me. I waited patiently until Kaveh, wearing a mask, approached the poker table where I was seated. My fingers danced swiftly as I shuffled and cut the cards with expert precision. As the cards arched through the air, I made my move. An ace and a king landed in Kaveh's hands. After a few rounds, Kaveh had accumulated a significant stack of chips. He leaned on his left arm and hummed lightly, relaxing his entire body. But I grew increasingly tense. Despite my frequent feeding of cards to Kaveh, there was a man who kept winning. He even won more than everyone else at the table combined. The man wore a well-tailored black velvet suit, with an emerald brooch on his lapel that shone brightly in the dim light. But no matter how much he won, he remained completely unfazed. He sorted his chips slowly and deliberately, his every movement exuding the cold detachment of a man of high status. He must have noticed that I was cheating. I took a deep breath and prepared for the next round. Suddenly, all the lights in the casino went out. The next moment, a voice came over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the midnight dance party at Styx Lounge." A beam of dark golden light shone on the dance floor on one side of the casino. Soft jazz music began to play, and the crowd started to move. Men extended their hands, and women smiled as they took them. Pairs of masked figures spun and intertwined under the lights. I leaned against the card table, my eyes fixed on Kaveh as he walked toward the dance floor. I slipped my hand into the side of my skirt, my fingertips already touching the knife handle. I had already planned how to lure Kaveh into the darkness and end his life silently. Just as I took a step forward, a cold metallic sensation suddenly pressed against my lower back. "Don't move." The man's voice was low and ruthless, devoid of any emotion. Every nerve in my body tensed, but my expression remained unchanged. "No guns allowed in Styx. If you fire here, you won't survive." "Is that so?" The man's tone was indifferent. "You can try." Fortunately, the man in the suit didn't intend to cause a commotion with gunfire. He forced me to move forward with the gun, and we made our way deeper into Styx's interior corridors. Every employee along the way, whether dealers or bodyguards, quietly stepped aside and bowed when they saw him. Not a single person questioned the gun in his hand. My heart sank. This is bad. I've gotten myself into big trouble. We continued until we reached an extremely luxurious private suite at the end of the corridor, where crystal chandeliers cast a cold, eerie glow from the ceiling. To knock out a dealer and hide in the warehouse without making a sound in Styx, you've got some skills. I raised my hands in surrender. "I didn't know you were the boss of Styx. Otherwise, I would have only dealt cards to you." He ignored my words completely. "I respect those with strength, so I'll let you die knowing why." "Ivy." My pupils contracted. To call out the name Ivy. The mastermind behind Styx was Orbit. Damn it, if I had known this was Orbit's territory, I never would have taken this job. But I couldn't die here. Elias was waiting for me at home to celebrate our wedding anniversary. I smiled, "We're all in the same line of work. Can't we talk this out?" Before I could finish, I suddenly pulled out a compact handgun from the lining of my skirt. But Orbit was faster. He kicked my gun away with a single kick, his movements clean and precise. He grabbed a silver fork from the table and threw it at me like a dart. I dodged sideways, the fork narrowly missing my cheek, tearing through my white mask. My face was completely exposed to him. The gun aimed at my forehead suddenly shifted slightly. Bang! The bullet grazed my hair, shattering a crystal glass nearby. Orbit, for some reason, didn't raise the gun again. He grabbed my shoulders with one hand, then removed his expensive-looking tie with the other, tying me to the chair. Orbit stared at me, then took a deep breath. "Miss Ivy, I've changed my mind. Perhaps we can work together." Crazy, absolutely crazy. Orbit suddenly acted as if possessed, not only refusing to kill me but offering to hand over the bounty to me. He said Kaveh had been in frequent contact with the head of a private hospital in El City, and there was evidence of illegal organ trafficking between them. Meanwhile, numerous homeless people had gone missing near Styx Lounge. Kaveh has a microchip containing all his transaction records in El City. Orbit placed his gun on the table as a gesture of goodwill. "I only want the chip. Once we find it, the head is yours, and the bounty is yours too." I asked calmly, "Why?" Orbit spoke in a gentle tone, as if the cold-hearted person from before was just a figment of my imagination. He even smiled, Miss Ivy, I think I've fallen for you at first sight. Get out. Show me some respect. I shouted angrily, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're Orbit. I have a husband, and I love him. Orbit paused for a second, then laughed even harder. He suddenly leaned in close and blew a breath into my ear. So what? Your husband will never find out. As Orbit untied me, I grabbed the gun on the table and aimed it at him. Orbit remained unfazed. He curved his lips slightly, you can kill me right now, but that would alert the others. Next time you try to catch Kaveh, it won't be so easy. And what Orbit didn't say was that if I killed him now, I probably wouldn't have a chance to leave Styx Lounge either. He was confident, and I had no way to stop him. I endured. Besides, Orbit could have killed me earlier but chose not to. That must mean there's something on me he wants. I forced a smile at him. Alright, I hope we can work together smoothly. Orbit took the opportunity to grab my wrist, which had been bound by the tie for hours, and gently kissed it. Does it hurt? I tied you up for so long, I'm sorry. Slap. I slapped Orbit across the face. I held back my anger, I'm warning you. I'm a married woman. Orbit's face was slapped to the side, but his body didn't move at all. He sniffed his nose and smiled. Miss Ivy, your hands smell so good. This madman. Once Kaveh is dead, I'll make him pay. Orbit took off his emerald brooch and pinned it to my chest. I put on a new mask and followed Orbit to the presidential suite Kaveh had booked. The two of us searched the entire suite thoroughly but found nothing suspicious. Even after using an electronic scanner, we didn't see any signs of a chip. I frowned, although it's not safe to carry it on your person, we can't rule out that possibility. Suddenly, the sound of a card swiping came from outside the door. The next second, I shoved Orbit into the wardrobe next to me and climbed in after him. The wardrobe was narrow, barely enough space for two people. I was forced to press against Orbit's chest, my entire body almost buried in his embrace. I peeked through the crack in the wardrobe and saw Kaveh pacing anxiously outside. After a moment, he dialed a phone. The goods are almost all cleared out. When will you transfer the money? Orbit's arm brushed against my waist, making me jump. I glared at him, but he was just reaching for a miniature recording device. Orbit nodded slightly to adjust the device, and my gaze swept over his chest. Kaveh suddenly raised his voice. We didn't receive yesterday's shipment? How is that possible? Whatever was said on the other end, Kaveh fell silent for a few seconds before speaking again. I can hear the dogs barking at the hospital. He hung up abruptly. Kaveh pulled out a notepad and began scribbling on it. Watching Orbit's serious expression, I felt a pang of emotion and wrapped my arms around his waist. He stiffened suddenly. My hands continued to move upward, pressing against Orbit's warm chest. I whispered in his ear, "You have a great body." Orbit flinched, then clenched his fists tightly. "Aren't you loyal to your husband?" I laughed wickedly, "But as you said, my husband won't find out about El City." I pointed to Kaveh, who was frantically writing outside the cabinet door, then tapped Orbit's lips. "This is thrilling, isn't it? Like an affair." Orbit's temple twitched slightly, his voice barely audible. "Aren't you supposed to celebrate your wedding anniversary with your husband?" I shrugged indifferently. After all, he's just a house husband. I smiled softly, my voice sweet. "I still prefer men like you, cold and dangerous." Orbit's eyes turned red, about to speak, when Kaveh suddenly pushed open the cabinet door. I immediately composed myself, my expression turning cold, and slapped Orbit. "Let's get down to business." Kaveh had left in such a hurry that a piece of paper slipped from his hand. I picked it up, but it only had a curved line on it. I frowned. What's this supposed to mean? It looks like an ugly arm. As soon as the words left my mouth, something flashed through my mind. Arm. I whispered in shock, turning my head sharply toward Orbit. Kaveh wrote with his left hand unconsciously. He's left-handed. But he only used his right hand at the card table. There's something wrong with his left arm. Orbit's expression darkened, and he immediately understood. We exchanged glances and spoke in unison. He implanted a microchip in his left arm. I took a deep breath, but before I could say anything else, Orbit kicked open the door. "Hurry up. The line on the paper is the casino's security patrol route. Kaveh is trying to escape." There were no dogs in the hospital. Kaveh had said on the phone that he heard police voices coming from the other side. Damn it, these reckless idiots. Orbit and I sprinted after Kaveh, chasing him all the way to the 6th-floor observation deck at the top of the casino. Kaveh was about to jump down a spiral staircase when Orbit blocked him with a swift step. Kaveh drew his dagger and stabbed straight at Orbit. Orbit grabbed Kaveh's wrist, twisted it violently, and slammed him against the huge glass with an elbow strike. You think you can run? Kaveh gritted his teeth and struggled, but there was nowhere to retreat. Behind him was the casino's atrium. The dome of the atrium was a magnificent glass structure, and directly below it was an artificial waterfall and pool 5 stories tall. The area, which should have been bustling with spectators, was now empty except for the 3 of us. The casino guests had all been led outside to watch the fireworks. I pointed my gun at Kaveh's head, and his face turned pale. Damn it. How did you cops get into Styx Lounge? Orbit coldly glanced at Kaveh. You won't even know who killed you. He ripped open Kaveh's sleeve, revealing a small patch of metallic sheen beneath the flesh. It was the chip. We found it. Kaveh's pupils contracted sharply, and his face contorted in horror. You think you've won? He suddenly pulled a thin wire from his collar and pressed it against a spot on his arm. I've activated the chip's self-destruct protocol. A sick, maniacal smile spread across his face. We'll go to hell together. 7, 6, 5. Get back. I screamed, grabbing Orbit's arm and trying to pull him back. But Orbit pushed me away and charged forward. He embraced Kaveh, crashing through the observation glass with him, plunging into the pool below. A deafening explosion echoed, and fireworks bloomed in the night sky at the same moment. Husband. The pool water churned with blood mist, shattered glass floated on the surface, and everything was eerily quiet. I froze, nearly collapsing to the ground. Just then, a dark figure slowly rose from the water. Orbit, or rather Elias, was walking toward us step by step. Elias was soaked through, his white shirt now transparent, clinging tightly to his body. Water droplets fell from his bangs. He lifted his head, pushed his wet bangs back with his hand, revealing his beautiful black eyes. Behind him, Kaveh's body slowly floated to the surface of the water. Elias raised the chip still covered in blood in his hand and smiled gently at me. It was a protocol that required a bioelectric signal to trigger the explosion. I managed to cut the chip out of Kaveh's body in time. He smiled so gently, as if the 2 of us were in the living room of our home, not just having survived a life-or-death crisis in a casino. I rushed over and punched him on the shoulder, my eyes red with tears. I hate you. Elias let me hold him, patting my back gently with one hand. It's okay, honey. I love you. In that tender moment, I took a deep breath. The next second, I grabbed the gun and pointed it at Elias's chest. Now that Kaveh is dead, it's time to settle our accounts. Elias chuckled. Eli, when did you figure out it was me? I rolled my eyes. You didn't even try to hide it. You wear that wedding band around your neck every day, as if you're afraid no one will notice. I just couldn't bear to take it off. Elias wiped his wet hair against me. If I wasn't afraid it would get in the way when I'm holding a gun, I'd wear it on my hand. This man is so unserious. He shows no sign of remorse. I pressed the gun against his chest again, furious. Behave yourself. Elias laughed. What would I touch if I broke it? Elias kissed my cheek and said mournfully, I was so scared back then. I thought you were really going to have an affair with Orbit. Elias's eyes sparkled. I was really happy when I found out you were Ivy. Honey, so you weren't secretly dating someone else, you were just out killing people. I couldn't hold back anymore and punched him in the stomach. Elias immediately cried out in pain with red eyes. I shouted, don't act like that. You're Orbit. Is this just a tickle for you? Seeing that this wasn't working, he wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes and said mournfully. What about you, wife? The engineer who always works overtime. Going on a business trip to the East Coast? Ugh. We really are birds of a feather. Seeing that the conversation was going south, I quickly changed the subject. Speaking of which, what about that chip? Elias smiled and said, an old friend from the Federal Bureau asked me for help. I'll hand it over to them later. We don't need to worry about the rest. You're just an operative, and you're involved with the Federal Bureau? I was speechless. No wonder you suddenly took this job. There are no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Elias said indifferently, otherwise, a mere million. Enough. I was really angry. What about all the hard work I did to earn money to support my family and my husband, the house husband? Tell me the truth, where did you hide the guns? I've never seen them at home. I just left them in the oven. Elias looked innocent, after all, you never go into the kitchen. I felt a bit embarrassed. Elias hugged me and said, when we first got married, I transferred most of my assets into a trust fund for you. I just never knew how to bring it up. Elias rested his chin on my shoulder, after all, I'm just a house husband, and I didn't want you to think my money was from shady sources. I took a deep breath. Is your money from shady sources? In the end, we still went home hand in hand, happy as ever. The gentle Elias made me feel secure, and the powerful Orbit made me feel equally sexy. When I first married Elias, I thought I only liked the calm and stable life he provided. But it turned out that as long as it was Elias, I would love him no matter what. On our first wedding anniversary, I changed my original gift plan and gave Elias a custom-made handgun instead. The gun body was made of foggy silver titanium alloy, with a matte finish that gave it a cold, elegant beauty. The grip is adorned with a 1-carat red diamond. I had originally planned to turn it into a ring before going to El City. But indeed, for an operative, a ring isn't something you can carry around easily. Nothing accompanies an operative better than a gun. On the inner side of the gun, I engraved Orbit and Whitey with my own hands. I placed the gun in a black velvet box and handed it to Elias, feeling a bit nervous. To commemorate our first anniversary, I said, and to commemorate that we are more open with each other than ever before. Elias paused for a moment, then lowered his head to run his fingers along the gun's body, as if touching something soft and fragile. He silently engaged the safety and carefully put the gun away. Elias pulled me into his arms, his voice low and hoarse. Thank you for loving every part of me. The anniversary gift Elias gave me was a small island in the southern part of F country. He said that the life of an operative is always filled with danger and instability. But I want to be the island where you can land safely. As I couldn't help but tear up, Elias cupped my cheeks. Shall we go there for our honeymoon tomorrow? Elias kissed me tenderly, his voice soft. I used to worry that asking you, such an outstanding engineer, to take time off would get you fired. An operative's work is much more flexible, as long as you don't take on missions. Ah. I stiffened, my face flushing with embarrassment. I just accepted a mission for next week. The next second, I was tackled onto the bed by Elias. He looked hurt, his tone almost accusatory. Honey. Tomorrow is the second day of our anniversary. Do you even love me? I didn't know if Elias was hurt, but I was definitely hurt. The next morning, I was woken up by the vibration of the bedside table. My whole body ached, as if I had been torn apart. I pushed the culprit beside me angrily. Hurry up, go answer it. Ivy, you're crazy. You let someone touch your communicator. Lilith's hysterical voice came from the small device. Damn it, it wasn't the phone ringing. I roughly ran my hands through my hair and took the communicator from Elias. Lilith shouted, never mind, this is nothing compared to what I'm about to tell you. She sounded nervous. Do you know that the task you took on was cancelled by Orbit this morning? Did you really piss him off when you went to El City and stole his task last time? After all, no one has ever. I glanced at Elias beside me, who was still in his pajamas, and felt his hand. It was ice cold. I glared at him, then said to Lilith, got it. Tell the employer not to pay Orbit, transfer the money to my account. Lilith suddenly raised her voice, please, do you really want to die, Your Majesty? I don't want to die young. I said, the one who just called you was Orbit. After a moment of silence, a scream suddenly came through the communicator. Ah, you actually slept with Orbit? What about your husband? You're having an affair, and the other person is Or. I quickly shut off the communicator. While Lilith and I were talking, Elias had already wrapped himself around me from behind, holding me tightly. I pushed him away with my elbow. I can't reveal your true identity. Now Lilith will think I'm an irresponsible person when it comes to family. Elias buried his face in my neck and laughed softly. Isn't that great, honey? Your husband is me, your lover is me, you'll never need to look for anyone else. I took a deep breath. Just talk, don't point the gun at me. Elias looked up, startled. I didn't. I put it in the oven when I came back. I shouted, I'm talking about the other one.